at Menards. Whether you're a bird enthusiast or you simply enjoy the sights and sounds of nature, Enchanted Gardens Cardinal Mix Premium Bird Food Blend is a must-have year-round. Pick up a 20-pound bag. On sale now through February 8th. View our entire selection of wildlife products on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer and find all of the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Thursday morning, progressives. How about that? Welcome to the January 29th, 2026 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn, radio, and YouTube. You can email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And I'm a little behind on some emails, you guys. Haven't forgotten about you, but just been a little busy. I'll get it done. You can follow me on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, Substack, and Spoutable. Going to have some big posts coming up in the next couple of days, so check things out there. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Of course, iHeartRadio is also where you can grab that great information. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. It's a Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath. I had to slow down because I could feel like my mouth was sticking together. I love Chicago, but right now I don't like the weather. Man. Out Chicago and our other great shows and interviews that we have on the weekend, family meetings back and all that other good stuff. Make your way over to heartlandsignal.com so you can check out our digital platform and newsroom and all the great things that you can share right there. We're loaded. All I can tell you is we're loaded up. One of the big stories that you want to check out there is Iowa State Senator Caitlin Dray. As you guys recall, she won the special election back in late August, and along with Renee Hardman, we've both been fortunate to have them. We have both of them on the show, I should say. She reveals a diagnosis of cancer. And you have to check out. We didn't have. I should have had the clip together, but you guys can check this out. And we're working to have her back on the show again. But her very, very, very impassioned speech on the floor of the House in Iowa really gets into talking about the state of our healthcare system in Iowa as well as the rest of the country. So I highly recommend that you go to heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform, anywhere you are in the country. What she says is so powerful, and what she says is so relevant to our healthcare system across the country. From her perspective as someone that is on the positive side of our healthcare system to those who are not. So please check that out. I should have had that clip together for the guys. But it's one that I think will be meaningful to everyone if you can catch this particular Heartland Signal on X clip. And then there are others talking about all that's happening in Minnesota and now this raid down in in Georgia. Also a great interview that Patty Vasquez did with the U.S. representative right here in Illinois, Jonathan Jackson. Another good interview and segment there, so you guys want to check that out. And that's the beauty of going to heartlandsignal.com because of all the wonderful stuff that we have there. Today's show, once again, a busy show. We'd love to get your calls in. Don't be hesitant to call. It was great to hear from you guys yesterday, from Steve and Dave and Bob and a few others. So thank you guys for hanging out with us that way. On today's show, when I say we've got an interesting show coming at you this morning, I had a chance to interview Joseline Peña-Melnyk, who is a Maryland representative, delegate, I should say, that will be hanging out with us in a pre-recorded interview that we did, and that we'll have that airing for you in the 6:30 hour. And then at 7 o'clock, we will have with us Shawn Ford, who is an Illinois state representative that's running for the 7th Congressional District seat that's being held currently now by Danny Davis. He'll be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And then in the 7:30 hour, we got a I guess you could say a mashup of state representatives in the same half hour. We've got Representative Rodney Pierce from North Carolina that will be joining us at 7:30. And then at 7:45, we have Representative from Texas, Trey Martinez-Fischer. And if you guys recall, he's one of the representatives that was part of the state delegation that came to Chicago during the summer when Texas was going through all that craziness and hell with gerrymandering and seat grabbing. So he's been on the show a couple times before. He's going to be with us at 7:45. I'm going to kind of introduce these guys to each other as state representatives, which I'm excited about because they are both so powerful and effective in the work that they do. So you guys will want to tune into that segment for sure, because it'll give me an opportunity to have these two guys talk about what they're both dealing with in their own states: gerrymandering in North Carolina and certainly fixed seats, and the same thing in Texas, as well as immigration for both of them, both of their states. And so it'll be, I'm looking forward to that. It's something we haven't done this before, so I'm looking forward to it from that perspective. So there you go. That's what's happening. Henry, do we have that Bovino clip ready? Okay, so I want you guys to hear this. This is just under right around 2 minutes long, but it's a really good. And we got the profanity cleaned up. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to give the props to the person that posted this, Teresa, on social media on her Instagram, and she has been posting some amazing items in recent weeks. Her TikTok and Substack handle is Teresa's Daughter. And I get sent so many cool things by people that are not necessarily social media, creators and all that, but they just had something to say. And I think that when we talk about things that people have to say, we should promote that. We should, if they're in alignment with what we're talking about, we should speak to that. So, and this is a clip that we found on Greg Bovino and his family legacy, given that his role in immigration has become so prominent.
So you know who this is, right? This is the man trying to get rid of dangerous criminals in this country. But I want you to know something about him. And please share this far and wide, because sharing is caring. So this is Greg Bovino. He is the little Napoleon who is running ICE operations across the country and pretending that he is head of the SS. But did you know that in 1981, Michael Bovino, his father, was driving drunk in Bowling Rock, North Carolina, when he crossed into the wrong lane and crashed head-on into a car carrying 26-year-old Janie Mae Mitchell and her husband, 29-year-old Larry D. Mitchell. The impact killed Janie Mae instantly and left her husband seriously injured. Investigators found no skid marks, no attempt to brake, nothing to suggest that he even tried to stop. Michael Bovino consumed 2 to 3 six-packs of beer and then drove down the wrong side of the road. He pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of death by motor vehicle. The judge ordered him to prison for treatment of his alcoholism, but he served only 4 months for killing a young woman. Janie Mae Mitchell was buried near her home, and her headstone reads simply, "To my beloved wife." I will be writing an article on my Substack about Greg's full immigration information, about how his family came to be Americans, and I'd like you to go and read it. I'm still working on it right now. It'll be on my Substack next week on Friday. Please find me there in case this account disappears.
Okay, so why did we want to play this? Well, I did take the time. This is why we kind of held off. There's an article that's also in the Chicago Sun-Times about it. So when I said, okay, do I want to, so here we are. when I titled this, I said maybe Greg Bovino should be deported. Or, no, that's not what I said. Did I say is he here illegally? Something like that. Maybe, but let's just play this out. Maybe Greg Bovino should be deported because from what I understand in some of my research, his grandfather was illegal for 15 years before he applied for citizenship in the United States. That's what the data shows, y'all. So if the data's wrong, then I'm wrong. But from what I read and what I did my little deep dive into, I guess you can't do a little deep dive, but my deep dive that I did, the dive, whatever depth it was, little wordsmithing there. Baby Greg Bovino should be, rounded up and taken off to a place where nobody can find him. I mean, he likes to grab children. He's kind of a small dude, so let's, and I'm being somewhat facetious in saying that. And I don't know enough about what his grandfather did to correct that wrong in terms of how long he waited, et cetera, et cetera. But the point I want to make about this, there's a couple things I want to say, and then we'll go to the break. There are countless Americans, there are countless folks in this country, I should say, that's part of their history. And am I upset about that? Not really. I mean, some folks got here and they just started working, Henry. They had their nose. I don't know. His grandfather may have been one of the hardest working dudes in the community. I don't know. And getting his papers right, he didn't get it done. And you guys know how I am. I could be that sledgehammer. I can really bring the heat. But in a case like this, I'm like, that could have very well been the case. And then he finally got it done and lived a great life. Of course, his son, killed somebody. And his grandson is running around like he is, the next coming to Christ. But the point about it is our immigration system has had flaws since the beginning of time with this country. And it's favored some more than others based on where they're coming from. We know that. This is one of those, let's not bury our heads in the sand and lean on privilege and be in denial, like I said at the beginning of the week. It's one of those conversations. So, but there is one group of people or a party or a cult that is so afraid of having the competition on the field expanded by having more people in this country that can compete with them. And when I said this the other day about we got to stop saying that the people that are coming from across the southern border are just here to take the basic, menial jobs, because that in and of itself is racist. That in and of itself is biased. Because we all know there's some folks that have come across the southern border, and I'm specific in saying the southern border because we have the border, that have gone on to become chiefs and chiefettes of companies and businesses, not doing the quote-unquote stereotypical menial task, the jobs that nobody else wants. No, that's a bunch of BS. There's a bunch of folks that have come across the southern border that have gone on and become the excellence that this country says it's all about. And they pass by a lot of natural-born people with blonde hair and blue eyes. And yes, I'm drawing a line on color and culture. Absolutely. Yell at me if you want to. And that's at the core of why so many people like Greg Bovino are so PO'd. It's because they realize that person did not have the privilege of a grandfather that went 15 years without getting his papers right and got to skate through, and a father that killed somebody, and yet he's now the head of the organization that's trying to kick those people out of this country. Talk about the proper use of irony. So, there you go. Let's take a quick break, y'all. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' open United States Senate seat in the Democratic primary on February 6th.
Please join us at the Plumbers Hall at 1340 West Washington in Chicago, or listen to the live broadcast.
Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Robin Kelly, and Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be discussing their stances on the issues and making their case for your vote.
WCPT hosts Patty Vasquez, Richard Chu, and of course Joan Esposito will be moderating the forum.
To attend in person, go to heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and register. We'll have limited seats available, so please register early.
Meet the leading Senate Democratic candidates at a free WCPT Live Candidate Forum at Plumbers Union Hall, Local 130 on Washington Street in Chicago, Friday, February 6th.
The forum starts at 1 p.m. and is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back. Time for a couple of Chew's Views news items on this January 29th, 2026. The Fed keeps interest rates unchanged. As expected, the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady yesterday for the first time in 4 months. Excuse me. And the outlook for when further cuts might happen is murky, though the central bank has been facing, of course, the escalating political pressure from Donald Trump to keep cutting. After 3 consecutive point reductions, of Fed officials kept the benchmark rate between 3.5% and 3.75%. Stabilizing unemployment rates and lingering inflation have given the central bank assurances it can adopt less aggressive easing. Amazon plans to cut 16,000 corporate jobs. They'll lay off about 16,000 workers, according to the company yesterday. The move is an effort to streamline bureaucracy, amid rising competition over artificial intelligence. This is being determined that it will affect employees among the tech's biggest giants' corporate workforce. Impacted are U.S.-based employees that will receive some severance and have 90 days to search for a new role internally. The company mistakenly alerted some employees of the imminent layoffs after sending a commiseration note and calendar invites to several employees hours in advance of their meetings. That was kind of a dummy move. See, wow. Apple's Tim Cook told employees in a memo reviewed by Bloomberg that he is heartbroken over the killing of a man in Minnesota by Border Patrol agent and called for a de-escalation of tensions. Now check this part out. The shooting of ICU nurse Alex Preddy in Minneapolis on Saturday amidst a surge in immigration enforcement has prompted condemnation across the ideological spectrum. However, and this is me, Cook's comments came after he faced criticism for attending a White House screening of the documentary of Melania Trump. I'm not going to call her the thing that other wonderful women who were married to male presidents get to be called, because she's not that. I have other words for her, and so there you go. So that's where he was. He caught some heat, Henry, and said, well, I guess I better step. That's why I say don't wait for somebody that's bending the knee or leaning over to the right, and suddenly they're like, I should say something. If either you felt that, Tim Cook, or you didn't. Why did it take the criticism? First of all, you shouldn't have had your behind there in the first place for the premiere. You should have said no. You already bent the knee. And don't get me started on Tim Cook. But you already bent the knee. So you shouldn't have been there in the first damn place. But the fact that you went and then you caught heat and then decided to speak up, nah, I ain't got time for that. Either speak up or shut the hell up, period. All right. Walmart elevates 3,000 pharmacy roles and raises pay. Walmart is boosting its pharmacy workforce, elevating 3,000 roles to their pharmacy operations team lead positions, with an average pay of $28 per hour and the potential to make up to $42 per hour. Pharmacy technicians who currently earn an average of $22 per hour can now make up to as much as $40.50 an hour. The retail giant is, quote, doubling down on its presence in health and wellness, according to reports. And Chili's had a pretty good quarter, 19 straight, in fact. The value-focused menu and dash of social media magic have extended Chili's hot streak. Brinker International, its parent company, said yesterday that it was reporting a $1.45 billion recent fiscal quarter, driven primarily by an 8.6% gain in same restaurant sales at the casual dining chain compared to last year. And Starbucks sees an increase in traffic despite its earnings hit. The holiday season was mostly good to Starbucks. The company said yesterday that rising first quarter sales for the first quarter sales were rising for the first time in 2 years, buoyed by the biggest day in its North American history with the November launch of its holiday menu. Earnings fell short of expectations, though investors still reacted with enthusiasm, boosting shares nearly 8% in pre-market trading. Starbucks is attempting to reverse its fortunes under CEO Brian Niccol, who has had to contend with supply chain issues as a result of what? Tariffs. So there you go. A couple of Choose Views news items on this January 29th, 2026. All right, guys, thanks for hanging with us this morning. Yeah, Tim Cook and other CEOs don't show up. Do you guys understand why I have an issue? People will say, well, Richard, listen, if they're saying the right things, they're doing, we want every vote, we want every player. Yes, I agree, 1,000%. You'll get no disagreement from me on that. Yes, we want people to do and say what is essentially the right thing, or the thing that, are important. We want that. We want people to say those things. We want people to be aware of that. But the showing up late to the party is a challenge for me because of a couple of things. One, where were you? And I said this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again in the future. Where were you? We told people, and listen, I know there's folks out there. I know I'm going to get hit with texts. People are saying, why are you talking about big corporations and how that's important to the everyday man? Listen, whatever. It's important because there are people who go to Starbucks and they go to other places. So I want to bring you up to speed on that. If you can't see that, then I think the problem is in the mirror. But that being said, I feel like the biggest issue when it comes to this showing up late to the party is that we told you. And yes, we understand that, a lot of these folks with big corporations and leaders of big corporations, they're leaning in the direction of what this administration is doing. But you've heard this week from people that I've talked to that have said that that the power that they have. I had three different guests this week that have said the same thing or a version of it. Man, 60 businesses say this is awful and what happened in Minneapolis this past weekend and before. That's great. But where were you? I mean, a year ago, I was telling you guys you got to speak up because it was going to inevitably affect your bottom line. Because at the end of the day, your business is driven by consumer activity. And I understand the investment side of how a business, if it's a publicly traded company, how that works. It's the consumer drives the revenues of your company. You manage the resources that come in, and then you distribute a certain amount of that as a share to your shareholders or stockholders. I get it. I mean, I know how it works. It's what I've done for a living for a long time. But that's also where you have such power. Imagine if CEOs, if it didn't take death, but just managing the resources and being better at pushing back on tariffs. Imagine if that had started last April, the beginning of the first quarter. How you could have put Trump in a box early on and said collectively, come after us. We're the Fortune 1000. We run more business and money than you think that you do. And we're not, listen, I get that there are people out there going, Richard, come on, dude. I get the other side of this. Don't think I don't get it. Don't think that missed me. I understand. But that does not stop me from asking, where are you? Where were you? Tim Cooks of the world. It took that for you to go to need to de-escalate. Maybe we shouldn't have been here in the first place, and folks like you should have done a different job from a social standpoint. Why do I talk about what's happening with Starbucks? Well, if Howard Schultz is acting up, I'm going to talk about him. Why do we talk about other corporations? Because if the CEOs are acting up, I'm going to talk about them. That's why. So if some people have a problem with that, look in the mirror. Because if you can't connect the dots, why talk about what businesses are doing when we know that businesses can impact what this administration and other politicians are doing? Then maybe you don't understand how this thing kind of works. Okay? Just, there you go. So we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we will have one of our wonderful interviews that we're able to do with Joseline Peña-Melnyk. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the mid-teens. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 4 above. Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow with partial sunshine developing, high of 18 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for snow, cloudy, high around 24. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 3 above.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Well, good morning, progressives, and thank you for being with us as always. I say this often on the show, on Choose Views, that we have such a wonderful bench, but we also have some people that have been elected to office that are just making their way through helping us strengthen our political officials and who's in leadership roles. And whether it be on a federal or national level, or whether it be state or it be local, I really like to lean into where we've got that strong bench. And right now, the Maryland House of Delegates has got one of those people in our midst and on our team, I guess is probably the best way I'll put it. Joseline Peña-Melnyk is one of the leading voices in the Maryland House of Delegates and has just of late made one more great accomplishment and is now the House Speaker, making history, frankly, in that process. And I'd like to welcome Ms. Peña-Melnyk to Choose Views. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. It's really a blessing to be with you. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I say this in terms of making history, talk about your ascent to the role that you're in now and what you've done so marvelously well to be one of the new leaders and new speakers there.
You know, I am, in a very humble way, an example of what opportunities can do for a human being. I was born in the Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. I lived with my grandparents. At one time, I recall there were 17 of us living in a tiny little house, a tiny little house made out of wood, one of those that you see in some of the paintings in the Caribbean, with cement floor, and the roof was made out of metal. When it will rain, because it had holes, we will run to get the pots and put the pots right under the hole so they will capture the raindrops. Where my bathroom was basically a latrine in the back, a hole, and my toilet paper was dry corn husk and newspaper.
Wow.
I can tell you that when you come from that background, and then you come from a country like this, which I don't recognize it today, is very sad what's happening, but it is a country that gives you opportunities. And I didn't speak a word of English. My mom didn't even study to third grade elementary school. Single mom with 2 girls in Washington Heights, New York. To be able to be where I am, I have to praise God and thank him for the opportunities, which is why opportunities are so important, especially education, and to be able to have role models, and to think outside the box, and give someone that you don't think, would be able to do the work, or you have these preconceived biases, an opportunity. And I know the weight of it, and that is such an amazing responsibility. So I plan to do it well, God willing, and give this my absolute best so that I'm not the last.
Empathy and a willingness to listen to all sides of an issue is something that we all can benefit from, and you've kind of mastered that in your political career, certainly, because you want to be that person that can listen to all sides. It doesn't mean you agree with the other side necessarily, or the side that opposes what you think is right, but listening to it has been one of your staple items, and showing empathy along the way. Talk a little bit about that, and how those words and that way of being have influenced your career.
Yeah, I was not always that way, right? You
grow into it, right?
Yes, and I have learned over the years that you are given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
So as I chair my committee, I was the chair of the health committee, I realized I had 23 members. Some of them were, are Republicans, and from what they call the Freedom Caucus, which we don't recognize it, but they call themselves, the Freedom Caucus, but they're Republicans. And I learned that if I listen and have some empathy, because our districts are so different, we're not going to agree ideologically on things, right? On some, but not many. But if I learn to listen and to give them the respect, because their district is so different from mine, mm-hmm. and I allow them to give their opinion on an issue. Yeah, I knew I had the votes, but I did not have to be nasty about it, right? If you give people respect, you will get it back in kind. And some of them are, I would say, they all are my friends, right? They love and respect me. We're not going to agree on everything, but they know that I am going to be someone that they can speak with, and I won't have judgment.
Right.
And I think that we must be intentional about that. It is something that when you enter a room, when you're at a table, that you have to tell yourself, instead of anticipating and trying to figure out how you're going to answer, why don't you be present, all of you, be present and listen and give people the respect.
One of the things that first of all, thank you for that, and I agree with you wholeheartely. It's hard to do, and that's why I appreciate when you said you weren't always that way. I think we all grow into that, and we all, are searching for ways to be better in that space when it comes to listening and having empathy. And we know folks aren't going to agree. I mean, I say this often, that I don't need somebody to agree with me 100% of the time. And I'm not going to agree with someone 100% of the time, but I do want to listen, and hopefully they'll listen to me, and then we can find out where we can go to get some things done. And in this new role, I mean, having been part of the House of Delegates for the length of time you have, and now in this new role as Speaker, there's going to be a lot of yelling and screaming and all that's coming at you. And you've got to still hold on to that discipline, because there's so much that the state of Maryland needs right now from its leadership, just like here in Illinois. How are you going to get your party to listen with the goal of being, let's get some things done? Does that make sense?
It does. And I appreciate what you just said. Look, we have to model good behavior. I am up there. It's a tremendous responsibility as I'm up here and I see 140 other people in front of me. They come from different parts of the state. They have different needs, right? That some of their views I will never agree with, but I have to be respectful. the actions of the Trump administration have created havoc for Maryland. We are a state with, more federal exposure than any other state, the one that has been the most impacted. We have lost since January till November, more than 25,000 federal jobs. I mean, 25,000 people without work. Now our unemployment rate has gone up. They are not making money. They're not spending money. We lost revenue. The impact on SNAP, Medicaid. We have a lot of stresses. This week, tomorrow, we have a hearing on redistricting, right? Because we decided that we're moving, forward in the House, at least. The Senate president is not supported. The governor is. So we'll see how that plays. But I think that it is up to us to meet this moment and to try to model good behavior. Look what's happening with ICE. It is really, demoralizing. People losing their lives. And that even some people in the Republican Party cannot speak up and realize that what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. We don't have to agree on everything, but can you agree that what they're doing is wrong? And as I'm up there presiding, I have to keep myself in check. It is, and it is. And I have to, literally stay quiet and bite my tongue and realize that I am modeling good behavior. And that is important to do. It is constantly keeping yourself in check.
Yeah, and I fight that every day on my show. And it's the beauty of it is, and we fortunately have wonderful engineers here, so that if I do slip up and say something that I can't say on live radio, that they can edit it out before it actually is broadcast. The good old 7-second delay. But the fact still remains that I still hold myself to the standard of working to listen, and at the same time making sure that I'm still speaking about the things that have to be said and asking the questions around the topics that need to be discussed. I think right now, Ms. Peña-Melnyk, I think that what we can't do, and I want to get your take on this, is as much as we want to follow some elements of respectability and decorum and all the rest of the words that we use, but I still think we have to fight. We have to have our voices be heard. We can't sit back. Now is not the time for any of us to say that somebody else will fix this, somebody else will take care of this, because we've seen way too many, whether it be unfortunately these two murders in Minneapolis, or the tariffs, or the changes with Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP. We can't sit back and not be face forward and talking about these issues and getting people's attention. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree with you. This is a time you have to meet the moment. You cannot stay quiet. To be quiet is to be complicit. You want to look back 10 years from now and say, I did something, whether that's going to a protest, whether it's writing an email or, making a call to your representatives. It is really important. Our country's government will fall under the control of a dictator and king if we do not maintain the effective checks and balances. It is important to meet the moment. We must respond. We cannot stay quiet. We're going backwards, especially for me as a, Afro-Latina, a woman, where I see that my rights and the rights of my community are not, they're being erased. We're going backwards. You see racial profiling now being allowed, those civil rights, violations. You think about Martin Luther King and everyone that fought during the 50s and 60s for our rights. We cannot stay silent. No. That is not right. And, I have 3 kids. I have to worry about their future. And if one day God allows me to be a grandma, amen, I hope so, that I leave a place where they don't have less rights than I.
Yeah.
And that is key.
That is so key. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with the Speaker of the House of Delegates in the great state of Maryland, and that would be none other than Joseline Peña-Melnyk. And I'm so proud to have you with us this morning because I know how hard your journey has been, but at the same time, you've taken this wonderful energy forward. And I was talking with some people recently about how, like we said a moment ago, we have to we've got to reach out for people and bring people into the conversation. But the thing that we can't do is be silent. And someone said to me, well, how do I deal with that when I've got people around me? Let's give you this example. You're in Maryland, and Maryland's a blue state with a lot of blue leaders. But there's a lot of people who live in areas that are not like that are more, quote unquote, red or in opposition to balance and fairness. And maybe they are okay with authoritarianism. How do you recommend? What do you recommend to people who are in an area that doesn't look like the majority of Maryland or Baltimore, and help them fight through this period of time that we're in right now?
Look, I think that as a leader, I have to make sure that every Marylander feels included and that they have a voice, whether I agree with them or not. For example, as soon as I took the role, I created a rural caucus, right? So that those areas in Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, so that they can feel included. And it's not symbolic. I have no interest in anything that is symbolic. Life is too short. It is too short. Okay, yep. I don't want that. No. So basically, I made sure that it was bipartisan. And I said, I want you to come up with a package of bills, okay, that you're going to work on together. I talked to the Secretary of Agriculture, and I said, I want you to work with them. I want you to think about streamlining some of the permits requirement. How can we make it easy for people? Western Maryland got really hit with the floods, and right. President Trump decided we applied for FEMA not to fund it, and those are people that voted for him. Right. And we are now, what are we doing? I'm going to fight for them in the budget so that we can put, I'm going to support the governor. He put in $12 million to help them rebuild. I want people to feel included, and you have to be, again, intentional about bringing them to the table, which is important. You can't operate in silo. You have got to demand accountability in government, but you have to have high standard of conduct for ourselves and our leaders, and we have to be inclusive. And again, it is being intentional about it. It is really, you must try really hard every day.
I love what you said. I love what you said about it is not about, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. It's not about show. It's about getting some stuff done. And, right. and you didn't just, not just to have a rubber or kind of a poster of this is what I put together. No, this is about getting some things done, because when we get things done, it impacts the people that are in that district, in that region, in your state. And that's so I appreciate you putting it out that way, that this was not about just to create another committee or another group inside the government, state or federal, that's going to just be there for the purposes of having a name attached to it. That's right. That's powerful stuff. Let me ask you a question. You've got two great leaders. You got many great leaders. So let me make sure I say this the right way. You've got many great leaders in Maryland, but two specific ones come to mind, obviously, and that's the mayor of Baltimore and of course Governor Moore. Talk a little bit about how you see them and the work that they're doing. Mayor Scott has just been fantastic. He happens to be has the same first name of our mayor of Chicago, Brandon. So Brandon Square, they're getting things done. And then, of course, your governor. So talk a little bit about what you see in them and what you may have learned from them or gleaned from them and about their leadership right now.
Mayor Scott, I love. I have a daughter that lives in Baltimore City, so we love Baltimore City. He is a transformative leader. Younger than I, because I'm in my 50s, but has the maturity, than most of us.
Yep.
He is unapologetic about doing what's right, uses his voice when it's not popular and does it because it's right. I love him. Yeah. I think that if a lot of us were that way, we will have a better world, a better society, someone that stands up for what's right, that is not afraid to think outside the box, to be creative, and to bring people together, and is not afraid.
No.
And that is really beautiful and powerful. Our governor is the same way. And even, with this redistricting issue, he got out there and is doing it because he knows that Maryland must meet the moment. And it is the right thing to do, even when it's not popular as well. And to be the first Black governor in Maryland, to be, the third ever Black governor in the U.S. and to be the only one right now in the U.S., it's a tremendous responsibility. And there's a saying and I think it applies for both the mayor and the governor, that you cannot be what you can see.
Yeah.
And Black and brown kids can see themselves in a Mayor Scott, in a Governor Westmore. And especially during these times where our history is being erased, where the opportunities are not there anymore like they were for you and I. These are the leaders that we need to pave the way and to show us what can be possible, right?
Yeah.
It's exciting, and I am very blessed to have them in Maryland.
We are too. Let me tell you, I'm going to glean a little bit of love from and for both your mayor of Baltimore and your governor. We dig them. I had a chance to meet Mayor Scott during the summer of 2024 at the DNC. He was so great to come by and do an interview with our station at our booth, and it was just fantastic to talk to him. And you're right, he's younger than both you and I, and he brings so much good energy, and he's smart, and he listens, and he's aware of the power that he has. Not power for power's sake, but the ability to have things be changed while he is in that role. And Governor Moore is the same way.
Yes.
And it's so, I think one of the big threats right now, and I know you know this, so we're not, and we have a very, very blended audience, but it has to be said that one of the biggest threats right now in America is the pushback from white America on Black leadership and Black history and Black power, not in any sense other than empowerment. I think that's one of the things that is challenging the country. It's pushing the seams to see Black folks and other people of color and women, most certainly,
yes,
in roles of influence and making things happen, which is why I'm so glad that your neighboring state, really kind of two neighboring states with New Jersey, I know we're not fully contiguous, and Virginia, elected two strong women to those roles as governor, and that you are in the role that you're in. I was raised by strong parents and strong women, aunties and older sisters and big cousins that were women. So growing up in the 60s and the 70s, this was nothing new to me. So seeing folks like you, Ms. Melnyk, and seeing Ms. Spanberger and Ms. Cheryl doing what they're doing, and seeing that they're women of color, Black leadership of color, it's got a lot of people freaked out, but we're not going to turn back. We're going to keep fighting.
That's right.
Aren't we?
Amen. Amen. And women, no offense to you or your male audience, we are unique in that we have the capacity to come to the table and work with everyone and find solutions. Like, we are great leaders. And I agree with you with everything you said. I am so happy to see them in those roles because they will meet the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They are needed during these times.
Without a doubt.
I believe that things happen for a reason, most of the times. And I trust that we will look back and look at their leadership and be extremely proud of it.
Without a doubt. And speaking of proud of it and pride, we have a lot in it for you because of your ascent and what you've done and what you're going to show and continue to represent there in Maryland. We'd love to have you back on the show when you've got some time, but we didn't want it to slip past us that we have a new historic House Speaker in the state of Maryland, and we thank you so much for that. How can people find you, reach out to you anywhere in the country that wants to say, yeah, I'm going to add her to my list of people that I want to follow and support?
So I am on Instagram, I am on X, I am on Facebook. If you look at Joseline, at Joseline Peña-Melnyk, you will find me on those on social media. And I love to be able to hear from you. If you have any ideas, the best ideas for legislation do not come from us. They come from people in the community that think, this ought to be better or this ought to be a law, honest to God. So I love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for being with us, Madam Speaker. We look forward to having you back on Choose Views. We'll figure out a time to do it again. And stay warm, stay safe with the crazy weather that you guys got. And we hope to talk with you soon, okay?
And thank you for the opportunity and for making it so easy. I do not take it for granted. I hope you have an amazing, blessed day.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye
Thank you.
now.
Bye-bye. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Joseline Peña-Melnyk. She is in case you guys missed at the beginning, she is the 109th Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates, state legislator, a member of the Democratic Party, obviously, and one that is also someone that's an immigrant to the United States of America. This is that when I talked earlier about how the comparisons of the Bovinos of the world, whose granddaddy went X number of years without, getting his papers right. Nobody's messing with Bovino and saying, well, let's check this out and see if we've got any birthright citizenship violations here. The reason that people get upset and see these folks that look like me and others, she's born in the Dominican Republic and came here, and now she's the Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates. She didn't get there by luck. You heard how her bathroom was. Nobody in their right mind can even think about imagining what that's like. And did she say corn husk, Henry? I mean, is toilet paper? Come on, y'all. So people are just flat out jealous of folks that can come to this country, particularly those that come from brown-skinned countries, from the southern border and other places. That's what this is really all about at the end of the day. It's really all about that. It's not about any of the, I saw someone posted this, that the Democrats lost because Kamala Harris did not take a better stance on Gaza. Are you kidding me? That's a damn lie. It's a funky, full of crap, report. That's not, no. It's because it's the excellence of brown-skinned people in this country that have come here as immigrants or were born here that has so many people on the right and some in the center left ticked off and trying to figure out, make America great again means what? This means make America less brown and more white. That's all it is. And every now and again, I step into this part of the ring to talk about this because what's happening all across the country, but certainly what's going on in Minneapolis, as I said, is about that racist part of our country. It just is, y'all. And the faster we acknowledge that without the excuse and the justification, the rationalization, and don't get angry, Richard, the better. So, congratulations and follow Miss Peña-Melnyk. She's one of those leaders that we say we want to follow and we want to be a part of and what they're doing. And I'm excited about the fact that she's in this role and is going to continue to do great stuff there in Maryland. And we're doing our best to talk to as many state representatives across the country, and we're going to keep that promise up to you guys so that you know who those folks are, because that's the foundation of our democracy, is making sure that those state representatives look like the people who we want to be part of our party. Quick break, 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. File your taxes for free with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. Just file on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Valid for those who didn't file with TurboTax last year.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. It could be days before electricity is restored across the South following the worst winter storm in more than 30 years. AP correspondent Donna Warder has more.
Sadly, we can confirm 10 fatalities with this event.
That's Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves talking about the state's worst winter storm in more than 30 years. And Reeves says nearly 100,000 people are still without power.
There are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of linemen, both from in-state and out-of-state, that are out working.
Some 60 warming centers are open across the state, but in Batesville, Mayor Hal Farrell says warming centers don't exist, and the roads are still slippery with ice. At the Mississippi state line in Hardin County, Tennessee, the county's emergency management director says people are prepared to manage a couple of days without power, but they can't go on much longer than that. There are more than 96,000 homes and businesses without power in Nashville, Tennessee. Forecasters say sub-freezing temperatures will continue in the eastern U.S. into February, and a new influx of Arctic air will arrive this weekend. I'm Donna Warder.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will attend a screening of the film Melania at the Trump Kennedy Center today. The documentary she produced is about the 20 days leading up to her husband Donald Trump's return to the White House. The film opens in theaters worldwide tomorrow. Tesla's annual profit plunged to its lowest level since the pandemic 5 years ago. The EV company run by Elon Musk reported this week that net income last year dropped 46% to $3.8 billion. Musk has been urging investors to focus less on car sales and more on what he considers a bright new artificial intelligence future of robo-taxis and robots. This is AP News. The FBI searched an election office in Georgia for records from the 2020 election. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
Fulton County, Georgia's main election facility in Union City has been central to conspiracy theories over President Trump's 2020 election loss. And on Wednesday, the FBI served a search warrant seeking records related to that election. FBI agents could be seen loading boxes from the warehouse building into trucks. Democratic State Senator Josh McLaurin.
This is extremely alarming. I think Fulton County and Georgia in general are tired of being the target of Donald Trump's narcissism. That's all this is about, and he is dispatching federal officials at the highest levels of government to try to vindicate his agenda.
The search came just a week after Trump predicted there would be prosecutions over an election he baselessly insists was tainted by widespread fraud. I'm Ben Thomas.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the mid-teens. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 4 above. Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow with partial sunshine developing, high of 18 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for snow, cloudy, high around 24. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 3 above.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Pricing coverage match limited by state law.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Richard Chew's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chew's Views.
All right, guys, welcome back to the second hour of Chew's Views here on WCPT 773-763-9278. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be back, and her guests are Sarah Raish, lawyer representing the family of Renee Good, Emmeline, Posner, journalist with the Investigative Project on Race and Equity, and co-author of the investigative series Taken by Taxes, a joint investigation by Injustice Watch and the Investigative Project on Race and Equity. And Heartland Signal's Rich Eberwine with 3 stories you might have missed at our digital newsroom. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820, Heartland Signal, and TuneIn. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Joe Kilgallen. And their guests include Mike Thoreau, independent candidate for Congress in Wisconsin's 6th District, Mike Biedenbaugh, Navy veteran and historic preservationist, and author of Reviving Our Republic, and Antonio Chacha, expert on drug pricing and president of 46 Brooklyn, an Ohio-based nonprofit whose purpose is to improve the accessibility and usability of drug pricing data. It's a really important piece you guys want to check out with Patty today when Antonio's with her. I'm Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 Central here on WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And tomorrow on Chew's Views, Karen Byrne, co-host of True Blue Politics podcast, Michelle Duster, and Dante King will be hanging out with me. But today, we have with us a voice, a face, a name that you guys have to recognize. He is one of Chicago's own. I mean, when you're born in Cabrini Green, for those who don't, folks that live in Chicago and Chicagoland area and suburbs, we know what the terrible labels that Cabrini Green got over the years, but also the wonderful products that came out of Cabrini Green. And those who aren't in Chicago, anywhere in the country, it's a community that people made all kinds of, said all kinds of bad things about. But this dude went on to become one of the leading voices, one of our leading state legislators, who's now running, if you can believe that, he's running for U.S. Congress here in the great state of Illinois' 7th District. I'm talking about State Representative from Illinois, LaShawn Ford. Good morning, LaShawn, and welcome to Chew's Views.
Chew's Views. When I look at you, I'm thinking, he's missing golf. Are you play golf?
How did you know? Listen, I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I was like, okay, we love Chicago. This is our spot. This is our state. But I do set a clock, LaShawn. Yes, I set a clock in reverse. And it's sort of when I start my indoor training and practice that's golf driven, and or when I'm going to get out and play the first time. And then I work backwards. So it's like, okay, hopefully it's early April based on our weather here. And I start working backwards in terms of what I got to do in March and February and in January to get ready for golf season for those of us who, so yes, I love golf.
And you know what? I didn't know that, but it just it's all over you.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. I don't play ball anymore. I don't run and jump anymore. I've had knee replacement surgery, so that's not in the cards. But yeah, I do my best, and I'm thankful to be able to stay reasonably fit and to still play golf. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, man, I'm hanging in there just like the rest of us, and just aging gracefully and doing my part in keeping young cats like you top of mind and recognizing the hard work that you put in to represent the state of Illinois. And now you're running for Congress. Talk about that. First of all, you give your own introduction of who LaShawn Ford is, and then let's talk about your decision to run for the seat that's open in the 7th District.
I've been in office, Richard, now for 19 years, and just by the nature of my existence and my life, of what I've overcome, makes me progressive. And so you have to be progressive. And where I come from and what I've experienced, growing up, like you said, right there, or born in Cabrini Green, a place right now that's so gentrified that we could not move back there if we wanted to. And but it's beautiful. Yeah. And that's what you want for all of Chicago, all of, the state of Illinois, to have vibrancy. Yeah. And then we moved to the west side of Chicago, to the Austin neighborhood, where I lived and was raised by that community of block club presidents, neighbors, and faith-based community. I went to a Catholic grammar school, for all those people that remember. Old Lady Helper Christians.
Yeah.
And that school closed. And then I went on to Weber High School. Then I went to the seminary for a year to study to be a Roman Catholic priest. That didn't work out. I ultimately became a Chicago public school teacher for social studies. And then I opened my own business, quit teaching, and then finally won the office of state representative after running 3 times. I ran in 96, 98, and I took a break and built my business and relationships in the community, and ran again in 2006 and won. And since then, my focus has been on making sure that I'm a voice for the people. And I could work with special interest unions and places and entities like that, but you have to have someone that's focused on the people. Yeah. And that's been my whole mode of operations. I answer calls, I confirm meetings, I do constituent services, I do everything I can to make sure that the people that I serve get represented, because after all, that's why they sent us there. And so I've been able to pass almost 120 bills that I wrote my own and passed that were progressive, and it's made a difference. It's been a difference maker in Illinois and national models for other places. When you look at the work that I've done on criminal justice reform, higher education, voter rights, and just being conscious and aware of what's happened in our community. And finally, I would say, working with the biggest problem, Joan Esposito and I talked about a lot, the heroin opioid crisis. It's a big crisis that I've been able to pull federal, state, local government agencies together with community-based organizations to help save lives on the west side of Chicago, where we know is the epicenter of overdoses. Yeah. And so building these relationships have been great. And I just hope that this is something that people understand, that I have relationships at every level and at the faith-based and community-based organizations, that we could come together and serve the 7th Congressional District well.
Yeah, you've been a voice, and you've been all about uplifting voices in the state district, which is the the Illinois 8th District. And one of the things that's been a big part of your platform is obviously bringing attention to issues that, like you discussed in terms of the opioid epidemic on the west side of Chicago. But you've also more broadly said we've got to uplift voices in our community, my district, meaning the 8th, your district, but also broadly throughout the state and the country, where there's so many people's voices that just haven't, or concerns, I should say, haven't had a voice and a person that's fighting for that. What has that meant to you? What does that mean to you currently as a representative, and then in this very competitive race for the House of Representatives, U.S. House of Representatives?
It means a great deal to me because the only reason why, we know that the job of a congressperson, the job of a legislature is to make sure that we pass laws, appropriate funds, and protect our democracy. But it's also much greater than that. The people vote for you to be their voice. And, it's my hope that I could pass laws to protect the Voter Rights Act, bring it back, the John Lewis Voters' Right. And we need to do that. But what we need to do is make sure that every day people that have trouble with the government treating them right, they need someone there to stand up for them. It's an honor to be elected, to be able to, when George Floyd was assassinated, that I was able to work with the mayor of Oak Park, Vicky Skaman, to do a march with the young generation and through Oak Park. That was huge. So that happened because of the status of mayor and state representative at the time. The people joined because we had the mayor, Vicky Skaman, and Oak Park, myself, and we had the young people. That's an honor to be able to give people a platform that they could take. When Laquan McDonald was killed in Chicago, people called for some help. Mm-hmm. And I actually, when the people said they wanted some change in the city of Chicago, they needed the mayor to be removed. Well, I put together the bill to do the recall. Mm-hmm. That was something that the people wanted. And it's something that people still want to happen in Chicago. They believe that we should have a mechanism on the books that's progressive to recall a sitting mayor if the trust is lost. And so that's some progressive stuff that I believe that this office has allowed me to do, to be the person that people know that if they call, I don't have to call someone to say, can I do that? Yeah. If the people say, this is what we want, I answer the call and we do it.
Yeah. So you mentioned George Floyd, and obviously, you're currently a state representative in Illinois and you're running for a federal office. And, we can't get away from some of the federal issues because they're local issues. What's happening in Minnesota and Minneapolis specifically, it's happening on the ground locally in that city, a blue city with nothing but great people there. That have been terrorized by this federal government. So I will ask the question, as I have everybody, when you look at that and you see what's happened, 2 American citizens have been assassinated on the streets of America since the beginning of this year. And we have a dude in the White House. I don't call him president. I try not to slip up and make that mistake and call him president. But we have a dude in the White House who is, causing terror in communities. How has that impacted you, LaShawn? And how have you, when you sit back and look at what's happened in those 2 situations in Minneapolis, what goes through you, and how do you work through that and deal with it as an individual, but then as a legislator and look and use your power to affect that?
When I see this happening, it reminds me of Dr. King saying, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's something that I've known for a long time, that we have to work together, that what's happening to Blacks can happen to anyone. And that's why we have to be a steward of our democracy. We have to do everything that we can to make sure that no one's rights are infringed upon and that we fight for everyone's rights, because if our democracy isn't strong, then we all could lose. And that's what we're seeing here. Elections have consequences. We need to make sure that we don't miss the opportunity to change America for the better, to make it more perfect by saying there is something wrong. You got Black people getting shot in the back, white people getting shot in the back. Why is this happening in America? And so my hope is that I could collaborate and use my voice, my office, to uplift the voices of the people that's ready to fight. This is our time to better shape our democracy, to better unite as a people. And when I see this happening, I see it as an opportunity. It looks and tastes like lemons, but we could make this into what they call turning lemons into lemonade. It's really devastating what's happening in Minnesota. And it reminds me of Maya Angelou when she says, when people show you who they are, believe them. This is who he is. He's hateful, and he wants to bring harm on America. He's the most un-American president that we've ever had. And we take him back, and we should take him and put him in the category of a Confederate leader, not an American Union leader.
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't think I've heard anyone say it that way before, but that is the way that he's acting by example. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with LaShawn Ford, who is a Democratic member of the Illinois House of Representatives, representing the 8th District and running for Congress, U.S. Congress, for the 7th Congressional District here in Illinois, and someone that is a strong advocate of raising voices of the people that he serves, and even those that he does not serve, by building consensus and building partnerships with others that might be out of his immediate purview, recognizing the importance of extending that power to other places. It's a competitive race, LaShawn. There's a lot of people in the race, and I've been trying to talk to as many of the folks that are running both in the 7th and in the 9th, because I know that it's important that we maintain the seat. And I think that we will, as a Democratic seat, in both of those situations. And I think our Senate seat that Dick Durbin is leaving will maintain that. But let's talk about, midterm. Let's talk about what happens when we get to November this year, and everybody is hopeful and holding on that we win back the House of Representatives and that we potentially take back the Senate on a federal level. That's got to happen, because we need that tool to be able to rein in this dude in the White House, or at least rein in the entire party. As in fact, what is going to be? Because I said this to everybody that I've talked to. You can't walk in and tiptoe around. You got to walk in and hit the ground running, because we don't have time to wait. We really don't. So what are you going to do, and how are you going to help your Democratic colleagues be able to do that and come in and say, we got to fix stuff right now, not 6 months or a year from now?
Yeah, you know what? I think that the urgency of now is here. And that's the difference between me and other candidates in this race. I've been in, I understand what it means to come in and work collaboratively with members of the body and with communities and with other groups that's out here fighting for the expansion and protection of Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. You don't come in thinking that you're getting ready to start things all over and fix it yourself. That's a problem. I think we've all been a part of groups that and new leaders come in and they say, okay, we're going to do it this way. And everything that was being worked on is gone. We don't have to start all over. What we have to do is be progressive and make the things happen that need to happen, like voter rights protections. That has to happen. Expanding and protecting healthcare for all people, that should have happened a long time ago. It must happen. So you go in, bringing the people with you, a voice, and you go in fighting for those changes. I think that this presidency has taught us that when you have the opportunities, you have to take advantage of it. This is a lesson and a beating for the Democrats, because when we had the House, the Senate, and the White House, we did not take advantage of it. We did not protect our voter rights. We did not protect the fact that you have to renew Black people to vote in this country. It's not an automatic. We didn't do that. We didn't get public option for health care in America. We got the ACA, which is a start, but we could have gotten it all. We could have had a better set at the Supreme Court, but we didn't work together to make sure that we had a replacement in place for the late judge that passed away. You know, we knew the time was coming and that she probably wasn't going to stay. There should have been some way that we protected that as a liberal seat so that we could have protected our democracy. So my thought is, when I hear people say that they're going to go do it themselves, my thought is I'm going to work and get things done with the foundation that we have in place so that we don't have to start all over. I've met with Hakeem Jeffries several times. I met with Republican members of Congress and other Democratic leaders in Washington several times. They're talking to me. I'm emailing and talking with Congress all the time, understanding where we are and what the fight will be. So I'll be ready on day one when the election is over.
How are you going to, and thank you for that, LaShawn, how are you going to navigate the potential of, because of, and again, let me back up. I want to set the table properly. What you said about what we could have done and the things that we missed when we had the numbers, you can't disagree with that because that's what should have done. So now we have the ability to look back and say that's what we could have done, should have done, et cetera. So now you are there. And when you come up on opposition of folks who still want to do it the old way, I think that's also an important question that people want to know an answer to. How are you going to navigate that? And how are you going to say, or what are you going to do in your mind, as best you can answer that, to deal with the people that still are going to slow walk certain things that we should be acting with a sense of urgency on?
You know, as a member of the General Assembly, the Democrats were not favorable of what we have today as it relates to criminal justice reform. When I came in 2006, I started criminal justice reform immediately, banned the box on state and government applications so that people have an opportunity for gainful employment. I did what you call the sealing of felony records. Those were progressive ideas that I took to the Democratic Party and said, this is what we have to do. And I also recognize that you have to make sure that you have the community behind you to push and convince leadership to get it done. But here's the key also. I have never been afraid of using the press, going to the press, making sure that we get our message out in the press so that leadership knows that where I stand and that I have people that want to get health care in America. We want to get voter protection in America. We want to expand and protect Medicare. And you do it by not being quiet. Mm-hmm. You do it by taking it to the party. And that's what I've always done. And so I think that how you do it is you continue to build those collaborations, but you also have to make sure that and this is not a shameful plug, but I do believe that we need to fund radio and media that tell the truth, like WCPT in Chicago, because you can help on the Q Show. If I call you and say, I'm having trouble, I need your help to get the message out that we're pushing a bill in Washington that will secure voter rights for Americans, that we are trying to expand Social Security for those people that may be living on $10,000 a year. I need your help.
Yeah.
So use media, you use the community, and you build a fight. You can't do it alone.
You know, that's the one thing that I think is oftentimes believed, is that we can, you know, we put a person into an office, we elect a person to office, and he or she is going to be the individual riding it on the white horse, proverbially speaking, and they're going to be the, you know, the hero of the day. And we got so much to talk about, LaShawn, but as always, we run out of time. But I appreciate you saying it that way in terms of the collaboration, because we do have so many people that want to be part of the process and want to be part of the fix. To that end, why don't you let our listeners know as we wrap up today, how they can find you, how they can support you and get involved, or simply just ask questions. LaShawn, how can I do something to help in your campaign? Let our listeners know.
Thank you, Richard. It's forwardforcongress.com, and I have all the social media handles, and our upcoming events are on the website at forwardforcongress.com. We are number one on the ballot. We have punch number 31. We have the support of one of the most progressive men in America, Danny K. Davis. We have the support of Jesse White. We have the support of the 27th Ward of the state rep, Omar Williams. And we have the support of people on the South Side. And we will do everything we can to win this race, to take the voice of the 7th District to the halls of Congress. And I tell people, there's a lot that I have gained as an elected official for 19 years. And I want to take that right to Washington. You know, no one else in the race has it. No one has the collaborations. No one has the relationships that I have with the people. And if you vote for me now, if you don't like the way I represent you, you could vote me out immediately. Thank you.
Right on, LaShawn. LaShawn Ford, y'all, thank you for hanging out with us this morning. We will try to have you back before we get to the election days. But stay safe and stay warm in our wonderful city of Chicago. LaShawn, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
You know, winter in Chicago hits hard. Is your home ready to stay warm and energy efficient? At Green Attic, they help you fight back against the cold. They're Chicagoland's trusted experts in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, and mold remediation, solutions that lock in warmth and cut your heating bills. If your upstairs feels freezing or your furnace never stops running, your attic might be the culprit. Their team seals in comfort and stops energy waste at the source. Need roofing? Their sister company, Green Attic Roofing, offers asphalt, flat, premium roofs, and even Tesla solar roofs, all backed by a 10-year labor warranty and instant online quotes. Winter storms don't wait. Replace that aging roof now and protect your investment. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic delivers real comfort, real savings, season after season. Visit greenattic.com for a free insulation consultation or go to greenatticroofing.com for your instant roofing estimate. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the mid-teens. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 4 above. Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow with partial sunshine developing, high of 18 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for snow, cloudy, high around 24. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 1 above.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. So as I said before, we're going to have a little bit of fun this last half hour of the show because we'll hopefully, if we can make all this work, and I think we can, have two state representatives on from two different parts of the country. Do we have Rodney with us? Oh, yeah. Oh, we do good. All right, cool. He's been with us before, and he is obviously one of those representatives, state legislators that's doing great work. Honorable Rodney Pierce, state representative in North Carolina's District 27, is running for re-election to his seat. And I said this before when we talked with him. That is, every vote counts. You guys realize he won his last election by 34 votes. So I never want to hear anybody say my vote doesn't count, because this gentleman can prove to you that it does. That being said, good morning, Representative Rodney Pierce, and welcome back to Choose Views.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hope you guys are staying warm.
No, you don't. You're like, see, y'all up in Chicago should move. You know you want to say it. Oh, man. Listen,
we're trying to stay warm down here, too, but we apparently we have another round coming this weekend. So.
Yeah, see? There you go. I was talking to some family members that are in Charlotte and my sister that's in D.C., and, yeah, I mean, you guys are catching it. And
yes,
Representative Pierce, I got to laugh with you for a moment in terms of just the difference of geography and all. It's interesting watching, like we get 8 inches of snow and we deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you, and then I'm picking on folks a little bit, but for fun. But then you see some of the videos I'm sure you've seen on social media, or somebody's run into your office and said, Representative, look at this video of 4 cars sliding down the street in Atlanta or in Austin, Texas.
In the South.
The South.
Go ahead and say it. In the South.
In the South.
Yeah. We're like, okay, it's not normal around here, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, man. Well, listen,
Yes,
I think the folks have already I hope they haven't let you know this. Just one of those things, as you know, we've got great state legislators like yourself, as well as one of your colleagues, true colleagues in the state of Texas, and that's Representative Trey Martinez-Fischer, who is going to join us at 7:45 to talk about what all of you all are dealing with on the state level. He's going to join us. He's going to call in, and we're going to kind of patch this all together. So I'm hoping that you are cool with that, because he is one of those colleagues that you can truly say is a colleague. He's working like to get things right in Texas, dealing with some of the same issues that you're dealing with there in North Carolina as a state legislator.
Yes,
so let's talk for a second real quickly about what and we'll be calling him and then patching him into the conversation. So just so you know that. But here's the deal.
Yes, sir.
Right now, we've all seen, we can't shy away from it. We can't turn our heads away from what happened twice in Minneapolis since the beginning of this year. And it's so supposedly around immigration. In the state of North Carolina, you're dealing with a gerrymandered majority that is blocking bills or blocking the presentation of new legislation. How are you navigating dealing with that gerrymandered Republican majority when it comes to things like tax reduction and the state budget and the impacts that it's having on food and banks and law enforcement? How are you navigating those things?
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Well, the thing that we do is we do our best to keep the public informed. I think an informed electorate is an empowered electorate. And so we let the people know these are the consequences of the decisions that we've made politically. When we continue to elect legislators into office who can't pass the state budget, well, first of all, we give them majorities, or darn near a supermajority in the state legislature, and they can't agree amongst themselves to pass the state budget. That's going to impact our food banks. That's going to impact our law enforcement. We have some of the lowest correctional officer and state highway patrol pay in the country here in North Carolina. Now, has legislation been introduced to try to remedy that? Yes, but it's stuck in committee. So and again, who controls the committee? my Republican colleagues. So you got the impact on law enforcement, you have the impact on teachers and public education, you have the impact on food banks. The food bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, the young lady said they've had 150,000 more people than they had last year. And the $1 million that they typically would get from the state government goes right back to the farmers and the North Carolina vendors who supplied them with food. So you're talking about an investment in our state. And I feel like if you're not investing, you're divesting. So the thing that we're trying to do is we are doing our best to keep the public informed of what is going on and how it impacts them on a daily basis. Unfortunately, because of the majorities that my Republican colleagues enjoy right now in the state legislature, they control the calendar, they control the agenda, and they control the budget negotiations. So the main thing that we are doing, or that I'm doing as a legislator, is keeping my constituents informed. I just held a town hall last night. We have candidate forums, two of the next 3 days, one in Halifax County, one in Warren County. And so I'm going to do my best to keep my people informed of what the consequences are of the political decisions that we make.
Yeah, and that's keeping people informed. Just before you were on, one of our state representatives, Shawn, who is running for U.S. House of Representatives to fill the seat that Danny Davis is leaving here in Illinois, said kind of a similar thing in terms of keeping people informed, keeping people plugged in. And one of the things that he wants to be able to do is make sure that he uses the media as best possible to let people know what's really going on. And Representative Pierce, I've said this for a long time, and particularly since this re-election of Donald Trump, that our legislatures on a state level and certainly on a federal level should be on every outlet possible to let people know that they're out there, making people. I mean, I've said this a number of times as well. Our congressional leaders in the U.S. House of Representatives should have a rotational press conference every single day to let the American people know what's really going on and not wait for an incident to happen, but talk about things every single day. And I think it sounds like on a state level, you're trying to do a version of that to because you're dealing with this gridlock, and it's coming from the right. It's not coming from the left there in North Carolina.
That's correct. That's correct. Well, we've held press conferences. Of course, again, we are out of session right now. We probably will not go back into session until April. Well, I'm not going to say probably. We won't go back into session until April to talk about this lack of a state budget. Only state in the country without a state budget, might I add.
Is that because the Republicans? I'm sorry. Let me make sure that I understand that everybody else. Is that because the Republicans have set the calendar so that you guys are not actually able to legislate right now because of that?
Yes, sir. Again, they control the calendar. They control the agenda. They control the budget negotiations. They enjoy a 30-20 advantage in the state Senate, so they have a supermajority in the state Senate, and they enjoy a 71-49 advantage in the state House. So they are one seat shy of a supermajority in the state House. So because of those numbers, they pretty much control everything. So we as Democrats can, we can lobby to, get together and, talk about budget negotiations and things of that nature, but you only got about 4 people in each chamber who pretty much control everything. That's in the House, it would be the Speaker of the House. It would be the Speaker pro tem of the House. It would be the Chairman of the Rules Committee, because that's the most powerful committee in the House. A bill has to go through that committee before it reaches the floor for a vote. And then you have the House Majority Leader, and they're all Republican. That's pretty much who would decide what legislation is going to come to the floor and what the calendar is going to be. So because they have those majorities, they pretty much can set our calendar. And right now what we're being told is we will not come back to vote on any kind of legislation or to consider anything pertaining to a budget until April. And, it's like you basically hold the rest of the state hostage because you can't agree amongst each other.
Wow.
And that's disrespectful to our constituents. That's disrespectful to the citizens of North Carolina, particularly, state employees, retirees, teachers, law enforcement, as I was saying earlier, food banks, people who rely on us, in terms of the funding that we provide to help them do their jobs. And, you can only imagine what that does in terms of morale for state employees who, haven't received a raise, but their health insurance premiums are increasing. The cost of living is increasing, just a whole bunch of things like that.
One of the things that I speak so often about when it comes to the well-being of a community is that when you put too much burden on one part, another part has to absorb that. And because of that lack of funding or having a proper compensation for state employees, that affects the communities. I mean, if a man or a woman goes to work for the state and they make, I'm just making numbers up, $50,000 a year, and they work for the state, or someone that goes to work at one of the small, a retail business and they make $50,000 a year, if that state employee is not working, that affects the community just like the person who works for a major retailer not working does.
Yes, sir.
So unemployment or underfunding is underfunding no matter what, if it's public or private sector.
Yes, sir.
I'm hoping, and North Carolina is becoming more and more part of the conversation, but I'm hoping that, the voters can know what you guys on the left are doing to bring to attention the fact that the gridlock, the legislative gridlock, the gerrymandering, the redistricting is on the Republicans. And this is the other question I wanted to ask you. How are you guys dealing with, or what are your thoughts about the number of the shift, I should say, from what I've read, in the amount of registered Republicans versus registered Democrats, in line with the Democrats that are unaffiliated as voters in the state of North Carolina. How are you dealing with that, and what's the work that you guys are trying to put in to affect that?
Well, I think you have voters who are disillusioned with both parties, to be candid. And so instead of labeling themselves as a Democrat or Republican, they would rather label themselves as unaffiliated and make us, in terms of the two major parties, work for that vote. There has been for the first time in state history more registered Republicans in the state of North Carolina than registered Democrats. And some people are saying, this is showing the failure of the Democratic Party and the strength of the Republican Party. Some are saying this is the impact of our president. Just a bunch of different things. My thing is, what I feel is people are disillusioned with both parties. And so the highest percentage of voters in North Carolina are registered as unaffiliated. So to me, that shows me that we have to work even harder, those of us who are Democrats, to basically to let these people know that, hey, it's the advocacy that we provide, it's the legislation that we introduce, it's the things that we try to do as Democrats that are more in line with your values and what you like to see out of your elected officials.
Representative Pierce, I'm glad you said that, because the gridlock that the Republicans in the state of North Carolina are causing is a result of voters voting for them at the end of the day. I mean, the crazy irony is they voted for this. And the gridlock that's there,
because of the gerrymandering, though.
That's where I was going. But the gerrymandering throws off what the real numbers are. So now you've got to deal with voter disenfranchisement, because the Democrats think that it's the Democrats that aren't getting anything done, when in fact it's a gerrymandered state that's not allowing for Democrats to actually work with a fair. Not a fair, but with an honest broker on the right.
Right.
And then you have that large number of people that just aren't involved. And it's somewhat mirrors what's happening on a national level because of the 89 million people that didn't vote in the national election.
And I think it speaks to, again, that disillusionment that some people have, but it also speaks to why civic engagement and education and awareness is so important. I did an event, I think I may have spoke about it last time we spoke, but I did an event back in December with area high school. It's called the Civics Bowl. And the intent of the Civics Bowl was basically a quiz bowl-like competition where the trivia was about civics, social studies, U.S. history, et cetera. But it was to engage young people and help them to understand how their government works and why it's so important to be aware of what's going on. The youngest mayor in the state of North Carolina is in my district. He's in Northampton County. And he spoke to them right before the competition started, and he said to them, I started going to town commissioner meetings when I was 17. I got elected as a town commissioner at 22, and now I'm the mayor at 24. So it shows them, hey, I'm 17 now. Look what you could be doing in the next 5 to 7 years. You could be directly engaged or directly in the political system that governs the town, or the municipality, the city, the county that you live in, the state that you live in. You know, you could be 21 and be a state legislator, I believe. But that civic awareness and civic engagement is very important. And when you speak about the young people and keeping people informed, look at what they're doing now in terms of our state board of elections. They are literally removing early voting sites that were once on college campuses.
Yeah.
They removed one from A&T. They removed one from Western Carolina. I think they removed one from UNC Greensboro. So it's like, once again, because of the Republican majority, they give the power over the State Board of Elections to the state auditor and take it from the governor. There is no other state auditor in the country that has power over their state's Board of Elections. And immediately they place the Republican majority on this board, and within a few months, they start doing what we knew they would do as Democrats, and that's trying to basically make it harder for people to vote. Not outright taking away your rights, but making it more difficult for you to vote.
The gerrymandering is a national stain, and as I said at the beginning of the segment, we were going to do our best to have on one of your Democratic colleagues from another state, a brother from another political mother, if you will, in Representative from the great state of Texas, Representative Trey Martinez-Fischer. Good morning, Representative. Welcome to Choose Views. How are you?
Man, I'm great. How are you all doing?
I'm good. Well, as I said, we've got Representative Rodney Pierce, who's a state representative in North Carolina, on with us as well this morning. And I thought, you know what? The three of us like good food. We like good conversation. Let's have a party this morning. Get the three of us together. How's that sound?
That sounds great, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Have you? So all right. My ignorance is here. Have you guys ever met before? I know you might be aware of each other, but have you actually ever met?
No.
No, I don't think so, but I'm reading Rodney's bio right now. He's a beast, man. So I love to meet this guy.
Well, I wanted you guys to meet.
I'm flattered. Thank you, but you're a beast in your own regard. So thank you, though. I appreciate that.
Yes, he is. As you guys know, and I mentioned when Texas was running through the garbage that Abbott and Trump put them through back in the summer, the Texas delegation, Democratic delegation, came to Chicago for some respite and some empowerment, and we're proud to have them here, Representative Pierce, and like you,
I remember.
You remember, yeah. I mean, it was a global story, So, Representative Martinez, listen, I want to give you the mic for a moment because both of you guys deal with immigration as an issue, and certainly you both deal with gerrymandering and redistricting as an issue. But talk a little bit about this press conference that you were a part of just yesterday, along with Representative Joaquin Castro, Greg Kazar, Representative Crockett, as it relates to this 5-year-old child that was detained based on the activities of ICE.
Yeah, no. First, good to be on the show. The sun is up here in San Antonio, 37 degrees. You're probably wearing shorts in that weather up there in the 312. But let me tell you, got to give a lot of love to Joaquin Castro. He's a senior member of the U.S. Congress. He drove to Dilley along with Representative Jasmine Crockett. And they toured this facility where young Liam Ramos is a 5-year-old little boy who was used as bait by ICE to try to catch his family so they could detain them. And then young Liam was taken to a facility in Dilley, which is south of San Antonio. So listen, I mean, if you don't know anything about San Antonio, we are a very proud community. We have each other's back. We don't let anybody take cheap shots at our folks. And so Castro, he led the rally and essentially is demanding for Liam's release, is asking for the impeachment of Kristi Noem, and is asking that Stephen Miller be fired from the White House. And as you see, nationally, the U.S. Senate is in control with funding bills to, challenge a partial government shutdown. And as you can see in the news, the White House is beginning to retreat a little bit, backpedal a little bit, and you may see some things coming with reforms as it relates to ICE. That does not take care of Liam's problem. But we know this. I mean, Republicans are losing this narrative when Ted Cruz tells the president this isn't a good look, when Governor Abbott is saying nationally that we need to recalibrate the strategy in Minnesota. Well, that's very rich for the Texas governor to say that. He's the guy that put barbed wire on our border. He's the guy that put buoys in the Rio Grande. He is the guy that had people on horseback whipping immigrants as they swam across the Rio Grande. So for him to say that there's been an overreach, that's a lot for them to get those words out of their mouth. And so, look, we just cannot give up on this issue. We got to act like human beings. And very proud, to see, Pope Leo, who's from the Chi, also take a very strong stance and rally the faith community to understand that even Jesus Christ was an immigrant, right?
Yep.
He was a Nazarene born in Bethlehem and fled to Egypt, right? Like, if that is no more of a textbook, sort of scenario of what an immigrant does when they face political persecution, that's what it is. And so we've got to call that out. And we can't fall for these false prophets operating in political circles to try to demonize these folks who want to have a better life.
That's exactly right. And Representative Pierce, you're dealing with, you haven't had a child used as a pawn and then brought to your state like we're dealing with now with young Liam. But you're dealing with some of the same issues as it relates to, you've got a gerrymandered state, you've got Democrats who know that they want to be part of the process and the solution, just like Representative Martinez-Fischer has in Texas. So, this is, I'm just grateful that we're able to get you guys connected. And after the call, I want to make sure that our engineers get to share your phone numbers with each other, because y'all need to stay in contact with each other, because both of you are fighting the same fight, just in a different part of the country, which says that this is a national fight that we all have to lean into. Representative Pierce, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with Representative Fischer and, learning from him. I read about his career. He's been in this a lot longer than I have, so I know I have a lot to learn from him. But I wanted to touch on the gerrymandering thing that you spoke about. Because of the president's agenda, North Carolina's Republicans and Texas Republicans obliged him in terms of the redistricting. And one of the things that happened here in North Carolina was the congressional district that I reside in, Congressional District 1, was the one that they went after. They took, I can't remember how many counties they took out of the district, but they moved 6 counties into the district to make it harder for Congressman Don Davis to retain his seat. And it's funny that happened in October of last year. It's funny that my Republican colleagues could do that, no problem. Call us into session, propose a bill, force a vote on it. But again, as I was saying earlier, still can't pass a budget.
Yeah.
So we can pass a law that will effectively dilute the voting power of minorities in this part of the state, because Congressional District 1, 40% of the population, about 50% of the population altogether is majority minority. I think 40% Black, 10% Hispanic and Latino. But, you're effectively disenfranchising or diluting the voting power of people to be able to select who they want to represent them in Congress. And then that same gerrymandering extends to state legislative districts, which have also been done like that, so that my Republican colleagues can continue to enjoy the majority of supermajorities that they currently enjoy in the House. So, again, it goes back to educating people, particularly in rural areas like the ones I represent. People are just trying to survive day to day. And a lot of times they come to people who they know are more politically astute or inclined, and they ask you, who am I supposed to vote for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's simply how some people live because they can't afford to put the time into trying to understand politics because they're just trying to make it day to day. So that's why it behooves those of us who are responsible for disseminating or distributing that information, and those of us who are politically astute and keep up with that thing, to know what we're talking about and to let people know the consequences of your choices are real.
Representative Martinez.
The consequences of your choices are real.
One last word
on the
from
state
you,
and national level.
Representative, before we wrap up today. No, sorry, Representative Pierce. We're going to do this again. That's the first thing I'm going to say because we're running out of time. But Representative Martinez, one last word before we wrap up. And Representative Pierce, look forward to seeing you in a few weeks when we're down there to do the town hall. Go for it, Representative Martinez.
No, look, I think Pierce is hitting it on the head. I mean, listen, Texas is a very big state. People don't know that we have the largest African-American population in the country. We have the second largest Latino population in the country behind California. And when black and brown communities come together, there will be some real political reform, and that's what these Republicans are scared about. They are so scared about this, so that's why you see all of the, all of the election suppression, all the gerrymandering, and honestly, gerrymandering this is beyond gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is kind of innocent. Gerrymandering is like getting rid of your political opponent. What these folks are doing is extreme redrawing and just rigging elections because they know what's around the corner. And so, look, that just tells us that we got to keep, we got to double down. We got to keep grinding. We didn't lose. Texas did not lose the Democratic majority overnight. We're not going to get it back overnight, but we just cannot give up. And look, there are 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds sitting in high school classrooms right now. They may not know whether they're a Democrat or Republican, but they believe in a good education. They want to breathe clean air. They want to drink clean water. They want to love who they want to love without judgment. They want control over their bodies. Those are our people.
Yep.
And that's what has Republicans scared. So my message is, North Carolina, hurry up because we're right behind you. We're going to bring this change. And Chew, when you're done in North Carolina, you need to come down here. Let me get you some good Mexican food here in San Antonio, and we'll hold it down at a town hall down here.
There we go. See, I told y'all. Listen, Representative Rodney Pierce from North Carolina, Representative Trey Martinez-Fischer from Texas. Thank y'all for hanging out with us this morning. Both of y'all stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right. Got to wrap up, guys.
Take care.
Thanks for being with us. My goodness, that we push it to the end. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as always, take a deep breath and make your life count, guys. We will see you tomorrow.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moretlawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
Start off the new year on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. New videos show Alex Preddy was forcefully taken to the ground by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis 11 days before his death. The scuffle began after Preddy kicked out the taillight of their vehicle during a protest in Minneapolis on January 13th. He was shot and killed by Border Patrol officers on January 24th. Senate Democrats are threatening to block legislation that would fund the Department of Homeland Security and several other agencies if the White House does not meet demands for an immigration and customs enforcement reform. Meanwhile, AP correspondent Ed Donahue has more on a spray attack involving Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar.
Court records show the man accused of squirting an unknown substance on Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a town hall in Minneapolis has a criminal history and has made online posts supportive of President Trump. It drew reaction from both parties. In the Senate, Eric Schmidt is a Missouri Republican.
Political violence or those sort of confrontations should be condemned across the board. I don't support any of that.
Reaction from Democrats.
It's a reason why many people choose not to be part of public life.
Illinois' Dick Durbin was asked if the incident with Omar will tame President Trump's rhetoric against her and others.
I don't think that slows the president down at all. I think what he has created is an environment of hate and threats and violence. It's going to take a long time to live down.
Anthony Kazmierczak has been charged with assault. On social media, he called Democrats angry and liars. Ed Donahue, Washington.
U.S. markets pointed slightly higher on mixed results from big tech one day after the Federal Reserve decided to keep interest rates unchanged, even as President Trump continues to insist they be lowered. The key rate is at about 3.6%. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. The Cavaliers spoiled LeBron James' return with a 129-99 rout of the Lakers in the NBA all-time leading scorers' potential final game in Cleveland.
Just trying to take everything in, not take the moments for granted.
The Spurs' Victor Wembanyama piled up 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks in a 111-99 win over the Rockets. Women's college hoops, Ali Zabel had a UConn program record tying 10 three-pointers in the top-ranked Huskies' 38th straight win, 97-39 over Xavier. In tennis, second-seeded Jannik Sinner ousted 8th-seeded American Ben Shelton in straight sets to reach the Australian Open semifinals. NFL, Patriots quarterback Drake May was limited on the team's injury report with a right shoulder injury ahead of Super Bowl 60, and the Browns hired Todd Monken as coach. Gethin Coolbaugh, AP Sports.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the mid-teens. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 4 above. Friday, we'll have a chance for some snow with partial sunshine developing, high of 18 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for snow, cloudy, high around 24. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 3 above.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Take your driving to the next level in a brand new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2026 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2026 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,519 due signing for qualified buyers. Excludes tax, title, license, and back fee. No security deposit required. Expires 2/2/26.
Interested in debt-free education? It's one benefit of apprenticeship with Plumbers Local 130 UA of the greater Chicagoland area. These days, high school seniors need to rethink going to a four-year college and creating debt with no plan in sight. Students and their parents need to think about learning a trade that pays you to learn and create a career. Being part of Plumbers Local Union 130 UA achieves those goals. As an apprentice, you receive great wages, great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription drug, vision, and hearing. No college debt, 2 pensions, and access to union wellness centers and eye care with 0 deductibles and 0 copays. Admission to the Plumbing Apprenticeship Program ends February 13th or with the first 2,000 submissions. Applicants have to be 18 years old and have a high school diploma or a GED certificate. See the full list of requirements and qualifications and apply for your future now at apply.jac130.org.
Tell me how you're doing. Really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you. To listen, not judge. To connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Okay.